The first slap did not land on her face. It landed on the table. Bam! The dining table shook so violently that a plate of hot eba slid, tipped, and collapsed onto the tiled floor of the flat in Bodija, Ibadan, splashing soup like blood from a fresh wound. For half a second, everywhere went silent. Then the neighbors screamed, "Ah, they've started again! Jesu, is it today he will kill her? Somebody hold that man, oh!" Inside the flat, Morenike Adeshina stood frozen, one hand clutching her wrapper, the other gripping her phone so tightly her knuckles had turned white. Her husband, Kunle Adesina, stood across from her, chest heaving, eyes red. Not from tears, but from the kind of anger that money gives a man when he believes he owns another human being. "You think you can talk to me like that?" he roared. Morenike swallowed. Her voice came out small. "Kunle, please, the children are—" He laughed, not a normal laugh, the kind of laugh that makes your stomach turn. "The children," he echoed, pointing toward the corridor. "Those children are eating with my money, sleeping under my roof, wearing clothes I paid for, even your stupid phone." He lunged forward and snatched it from her hand. "I bought it." At that exact moment, the front door burst open. 3 women from the compound stormed in like soldiers, wrappers tied high, sandals abandoned, one still holding a wooden spoon. "Enough!" shouted Iya Bola, the no-nonsense food seller downstairs. "Kunle, today you will not kill this woman." Kunle turned slowly, smiling. "Oh, so you've all gathered," he said calmly. "Good, come and see a woman who wants to forget who feeds her." Morenike felt the familiar burn behind her eyes. Not again, not in public, not like this. If you've ever stayed in a place you should have left because of money, this story will break you. Before it gets worse, hit subscribe, because what you're about to hear will shock you. From the outside, Morenike Adesina was lucky. That was the word people used, lucky. She lived in a well-painted flat in Bodija. Her children attended a private school. Her husband drove a dark blue Camry that always looked freshly washed. On Sundays, when she stepped out in lace and gel, people whispered, "Ah, that woman is enjoying." They did not see the insults that came with breakfast. They did not hear the way Kunle called her useless when food was late. They did not know that every gift he gave her came with invisible chains. And standing there now, surrounded by neighbors, Morenike felt those chains tighten around her chest. As tension thickened the room, something absurd happened. Little Toby, their 6-year-old son, walked out of the corridor holding Kunle's car keys. "Mommy," he said innocently, "Daddy said if you don't behave, he will drive away and not come back." Everyone froze. Kunle spun around. "Who told you to touch my keys?" Toby blinked. "You did, Daddy, yesterday when you were shouting." For one insane second, the entire room wanted to laugh. Even Morenike felt it bubble in her chest. The neighbors exchanged looks like, "Should we laugh or run?" Kunle snatched the keys from the boy and pointed at Morenike. "You see what you're teaching my children? Disrespect." Something cracked inside her, not loudly, quietly, like a hairline fracture in glass. That night, after the neighbors left and the children slept, Morenike sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. Her cheek throbbed. Her heart throbbed harder. She had thought of leaving before. God knew she had. But where would she go? Back to her father's house in Ogbomosho, where her stepmother already reminded her she was another mouth to feed? To her friend Sade, whose husband had warned, "Don't bring marital problems into my house." Kunle earned well. Kunle paid the rent. Kunle paid the school fees. Kunle reminded her of that every single day. "If you leave," he once told her calmly, "you will leave with only the clothes on your body." And she believed him, because she had seen him do worse. Let me ask you, be honest in the comments. Is money a good enough reason to stay in a bad marriage? Type yes or no. Don't overthink it. 2 weeks later, rain battered Ibadan like the sky itself was angry. Power went out. Kunle came home late, drunk. The generator refused to start, and when Morẹ said softly, "Please, the children are asleep," he shoved her hard. She hit the wall and slid to the floor. For the first time, she tasted blood. For the first time, she thought, this man might actually kill me. And for the first time, something more powerful than fear rose inside her: anger. But even as she lay there shaking, one thought drowned all others. If I leave, how will I survive? The rain outside grew louder. The generator next door coughed to life. Kunle stood over her, breathing heavily. "You're not going anywhere," he said softly. "You can't afford to." And Morẹ realized, with a chill so deep it scared her more than the slap, that the real prison was not the marriage. It was the money. The rain stopped suddenly, like Ibadan itself was holding its breath. Morẹ lay on the cold floor long after Kunle staggered into the bedroom and fell asleep, snoring like a king who had conquered another territory. Her body ached, but her mind? Her mind went back in time, back to the first lie she told herself. Years earlier, Morẹ had sworn she would never marry for money. She used to say it loudly too, especially at University of Ibadan, where she studied sociology and dreamed of becoming a social worker. "I will marry love," she would tell her friends under the mango trees. "I don't want a man who will count money when buying." Pepper. They laughed. Life laughed harder. When her father died suddenly, everything collapsed. The small savings vanished into burial expenses. Her stepmother changed overnight, cold, sharp, resentful. "Morẹ," she said one evening, "you're grown. You should find your way." That was how hunger first entered her life, quietly, patiently. Then Kunle appeared. Kunle was not handsome in the loud way, but he was confident. He wore clean shirts. He spoke calmly. He always paid. When he took her to eat amala at a buka in Agbovo, he didn't flinch at the bill. "Order more," he said casually, like money was a servant. She noticed. Of course she noticed. When she said she was tired of trekking, he bought her slippers. When she complained about transport, he handed her cash. No questions. The first time he helped her pay rent for a tiny room off campus, she cried. Not because she loved him, but because relief feels like love when you are desperate. Have you ever accepted help, knowing deep down it might cost you later? If yes, tap like now. You're not alone. The first time Kunle shouted at her was over rice. She had used palm oil instead of ground nut oil. "Do I look like a poor man to you?" he barked. She laughed nervously. "Sorry, I didn't know." He stared at her for a long moment, then smiled. "I'm just correcting you," he said. "A woman should learn." That night she told herself, he just likes things done properly. That was the second lie. 2 days after the rain incident, Morẹ went to Kunle's study to clean. She rarely entered that room. Kunle called it his office and warned her never to touch anything. But that afternoon, something pulled her there. While dusting, she knocked over a brown envelope. Papers spilled out. At first, she wanted to put them back. Then she saw her own name, Morẹ Adesina. Her heart began to pound. The papers were bank documents, loan agreements, debt notices, huge figures, numbers that made her dizzy. Kunle was drowning in debt. The money that controlled her life wasn't even his. Her knees weakened. All this time, the shouting, the control, the threats. It was fear. Pause right here. Do you think she should confront him or stay silent and plan? Comment, confront, or plan. That night, Kunle came home smiling, too smiling. He dropped groceries on the table and announced proudly, "I paid the children's fees for next term." Morẹ looked at him differently now. For the first time, she saw cracks. "You look at me somehow," he said suspiciously. She forced a smile. "I'm just tired." He moved closer. "Remember, without me—" She interrupted him quietly. "But you're borrowing, Kunle." The smile vanished. "What did you say?" Her heart hammered, but she continued. "I saw the papers." Silence. Then slap. This one landed on her face, harder than all the others, but this time something changed. She didn't cry, she didn't beg. She stood there breathing slowly. You lied, she said, and you used money to cage me. Kunle's eyes flickered, not with anger, but panic. Men are most dangerous when they feel exposed. Kunle stepped back. You think you're smart now? He hissed. If you leave, I'll ruin you. Morẹ picked up her bag. I used to be afraid, she said softly, but fear fed you. He laughed shakily. Where will you go? She opened the door. I don't know, she replied, but at least my life will be mine. Outside, the compound was quiet, too quiet. As she stepped into the night, she didn't see the shadow watching her from across the street. Someone Kunle owed, someone who knew her name, someone who would soon turn her escape into a nightmare. Mosnike did not know she was being followed. Ibadan nights have a way of hiding things. The hum of generators, the smell of fried plantain, the uneven glow of street lights that work today and die tomorrow. She walked fast, her slippers slapping the road, her bag light because she owned almost nothing that was truly hers. Every step felt like freedom. Every step was also a mistake. She knocked on Sade's door just after 10 p.m. Said was her closest friend from university, the one who had cried at her wedding, the one who used to whisper, if he ever touches you, run. When Sade opened the door and saw Moreneki's swollen face, she gasped, Jesus, come in! Moreniki collapsed onto the couch, tears finally breaking free. He will kill me one day, she whispered. Said hugged her tightly. You should have left long ago. Morenike laughed bitterly. With what money? Said didn't answer immediately, and that silence, it was louder than Kunle's shouting. Said finally spoke. Moreniki, you can stay tonight, maybe tomorrow, but you know my husband. I know, Morenike said quickly. I won't be a burden. Said bit her lip. You need a plan, not just courage. Morenike nodded, but deep inside another fear was crawling up her spine. Kunle did not lose things easily, and she had taken something from him, his control. If you were her friend, what would you tell her to do next? Hide, call family, confront him legally, drop your answer in the comments. The next morning, while Said was in the kitchen, Morenike's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Hello? A deep voice replied calmly. Good morning, Mrs. Adesina. Her heart stopped. Who is this? A short chuckle. A friend of your husband. Click. The call ended. Her hands shook. Minutes later, another message came in. Tell Kunle to call me. He knows what this is about. Below it, a photo. Her children, at school, alive, but watched. Nikẹ screamed. Sad rushed in. What happened? They have my children, Morẹ cried. Not taken, but they're watching them. Sad's face drained of color. This is beyond marriage, she whispered. This is crime. Morẹ sank to the floor. All this time she thought Kunle was the danger. She was wrong. He was just the door. Kunle was pacing his living room like a trapped animal. The man with the scar, Alhaji Bako, sat calmly, sipping malt. You told me she wouldn't leave, Bako said. Kunle wiped sweat from his forehead. She will come back. Bako smiled thinly. She has no choice. Kunle swallowed. You promised no harm. Bako leaned forward. I promise pressure. Harm is optional. Kunle looked away. For the first time in his life, money was not protecting him. It was exposing him. Right now, pause the video. Ask yourself honestly, would you go back to save your children? Type yes or no. No judgment. Morenike's phone rang again. Kunle's name flashed. She answered without speaking. Please, he said. That word stunned her. I can fix this, he continued quickly. Just come back. We'll talk. Her voice trembled. You used me as collateral. I was desperate. So was I, she replied. Silence. Then Kunle said something that chilled her. If you don't come back, they won't stop. Morenike closed her eyes. The walls felt like they were closing in. Freedom had lasted one night. By evening, Morẹ stood once again outside the flat she had escaped from. Same gate, same peeling paint, different woman. Kunle opened the door slowly. For a second, he looked relieved, then ashamed. I'm sorry, he said. She stepped inside, not as a wife, as a hostage. From that day, nothing was normal. Kunle became quiet, too quiet. Morẹ watched him like a hawk. Every knock on the door made her heart jump. Every unfamiliar car slowed her breath. She began hiding small amounts of money, and 2,000 here and 5,000 there. Hope folded into naira notes, but hope has enemies, and one of them was watching her closely. One afternoon, Kunle's younger sister, Bimbo, came visiting. Bimbo had always been sharp-tongued, but that day she studied Morẹ's face carefully. Egbonmi is in trouble, Bimbo said casually. Morẹ froze. Big trouble, she continued, and trouble spreads. Morẹ's heart thudded. What do you want? Bimbo smiled. I want you to survive. And just like that, Morẹ realized the enemy might not be Kunle anymore. It might be the money itself. Because sometimes refusing to leave a toxic marriage because of money doesn't just trap you, it recruits you into a war you never signed up for. That night, Morẹ did not sleep. She lay beside Kunle, listening to his breathing, steady, heavy, undeserved. Every rise of his chest reminded her how unfair it was that he could rest while her mind ran like a hunted animal. At exactly 2:17 a.m., her phone vibrated. One vibration, short, intentional. She slipped out of bed, padded into the bathroom, locked the door, and checked the screen. Bimbo, if you want your children safe, don't scream. Read carefully. Morẹ's heart slammed against her ribs. Bimbo's next message came in pieces, like someone afraid of being overheard. Kunle owes more than you saw. Bako is not the only one. There is a way out, but not clean. Morẹ stared at the mirror. Her reflection looked older than her years. Her eyes were sharper. Fear had hardened into something else. What do you want? She typed. A pause. Then, I want my brother alive. You want your children alive. We help each other. Morẹ's fingers trembled. How? Bimbo replied with one word. Evidence. Would you risk everything to expose the truth or stay silent to survive? Tap like. If you're still watching, this story is about to turn. Over the next few days, Morẹ became invisible. She cooked, she cleaned, she smiled when required. Kunle mistook her silence for submission. That was his mistake. While he slept, she memorized his phone password. While he bathed, she photographed documents. While he bragged to friends on loudspeaker, she recorded everything: names, amounts, dates. Ibadan traffic became her cover. She made errands that were really drops to a cyber cafe, emailing files to an address Bimbo had given her. Each send felt like breathing underwater. Too slow, too dangerous. One afternoon, while Morẹ was secretly copying files, Kunle burst into the room. She panicked and slammed the laptop shut, only to knock over a bowl of groundnut. Groundnuts scattered everywhere. Kunle stared, then laughed. See you, he said. Even groundnut doesn't respect you. She laughed too, a high, ridiculous laugh that shocked even her. They laughed together, over groundnuts, while both of them were drowning. Alhaji Bako arrived unannounced on a Sunday afternoon. His car parked directly in front of the flat. No hiding, no warning. Morẹ felt her stomach drop. Bako entered like a king, his car catching the light. My wife, he said smoothly. You're looking healthier. Kunle forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Bako sat. Time is running, Kunle. Kunle nodded. I'm arranging something. Bako's gaze shifted to Morẹ. Good, he said, because families pay for delays. That night, Morẹ vomited quietly into the toilet. She knew the clock had started. 2 days later, Bimbo sent a final message. We have enough. Tomorrow, we move. Morẹ's chest tightened. How? Bimbo replied. We give it to someone who doesn't fear Bako. A name followed, a name Morenike recognized, a journalist. If the truth came out, who do you think would fall first? The husband, the lender, the wife comment now. The story broke at 6 a.m. Ibadan woke up to headlines, loans, threats, extortion, names blurred but recognizable. By noon, Kunle was shaking. This is you, he accused, grabbing Morenike's arm. You did this. She didn't deny it. Outside, sirens wailed. Bako's name was everywhere. Kunle sank into a chair, sweating. You've killed me, he whispered. She leaned close. No, she said calmly. I saved us. Or exposed us. Depends who survives. By evening, Bako disappeared. Phones went off. Contacts vanished. Doors closed. Kunle's accounts were frozen for the first time since their marriage. Money was gone, and with it, Kunle's power. He looked at Morenike like a stranger. What now? He asked. She picked up her bag. Now, she said, I choose. As Morenike stepped out of the flat, again, the compound buzzed with whispers. Neighbors watched, some with pity, some with judgment. She walked past the same gate, same peeling paint, different danger, because freedom was no longer about leaving. It was about what would chase her next. And somewhere in Ibadan, a phone buzzed, with her name on the screen, from a number she had never seen before. The phone vibrated again. Unknown number. Her thumb hovered over the screen. She answered. A distorted voice whispered, Morenike, you think you're free? Her blood ran cold. Who is this? She demanded. Let's just say, someone who knows your next step, the voice replied. Then click. She dropped the phone. Her heart pounded. This time, it wasn't Kunle. It wasn't Bako. It was someone worse. The invisible predator of chaos. The one who waited for fear to do the work for them. Morenike knew the streets. She knew the compounds. She knew the back alleys that smelled like burnt cassava and fear. But she hadn't known he was watching her from across the road, blending with the crowd, pretending to buy roasted plantain while counting every step she took. She had been moving carefully, thinking she was invisible. She was not to him, and he had a plan. The next day, she received a small envelope at Said's door. No name. Inside, a single USB drive and a note. One chance. Plug it in. Decide. Said looked at her. Morinike, are you going to open it? Morinike shook her head, trembling. Do I have a choice? Her eyes filled with tears, because this was the moment the trap became her choice. Plugging in the drive, Morenike discovered files, videos, documents, audio recordings, Kunli, Bako, hidden dealings, corruption, money laundering, threats. Her children subtly threatened. The truth hit her like a moving truck. She wasn't just trapped by money anymore. She was trapped by knowledge. The same knowledge that could either destroy her family or save it. If you were Morenike, would you release the files to the authorities or use them as leverage to protect yourself? Comment authority or leverage. Kunle noticed a shift immediately. Morenike no longer flinched. She no longer begged. He tried shouting, trying to intimidate. Nothing. Even Bako's shadow had disappeared after the leak. Now it was just Kunle and her, and the balance of power had shifted invisibly. Morenike understood for the first time that money had controlled her, but fear would never control her again. While gathering evidence one night, she tripped over Toby's toy car. Mother, he yelled. I'm fine, she said, laughing despite the adrenaline. Kunle looked in from the doorway. You laugh after everything? Yes, she said, because I know something you don't. Kunle froze, and for once, he didn't know what to do next. Morenike did not sleep that night, not because of fear, but because of clarity. For the first time since she married Kunle, her mind was calm, sharp like a blade that had finally been sharpened enough to cut. At 4:46 a.m., While Ibadan was still wrapped in half sleep and generator hums, she made a decision. If money was the cage, then knowledge would be the key. She did not call the police. She did not confront Conley. She did something smarter. She went to Dogbe, to a small, airless office above a phone repair shop, the kind of place powerful men forget exists. Inside sat Mr. Akinwell, a former bank compliance officer who now helped people in trouble understand how money really moved. He listened quietly as Morenike spoke. He didn't interrupt. When she finished, he leaned back and said one sentence. Your husband is not rich. He is loud. Her lips trembled. What does that mean? It means, he said, tapping the desk, if you push the right place, everything collapses. If you're still here, you're part of this story now. Tap subscribe, because what she does next will shock you. Morenike returned home and became ordinary again. She complained about food prices. She asked Kunle for transport money. She played the tired, dependent wife. Kunle relaxed. Men like Kunle only fear resistance, not intelligence. Meanwhile, Morenike opened a new bank account in her maiden name, 3,000 today and 5,000 tomorrow. Small amounts Kunle wouldn't miss. Hope again, folded into naira notes. One evening, Kunle caught her smiling at her phone. Who are you chatting with? He asked sharply. She laughed. Women's group. They're arguing about whose husband snores the loudest. Kunle snorted. Nonsense! She smiled wider. If only he knew. Kunle was angry about the frozen accounts, desperate, so he did what desperate men do. He bragged, on a call on loudspeaker at night. Don't worry, Kunle said. I'll move the rest before they trace it. Moenike sat quietly, braiding her hair, recording every word. 2 days later, Kunle came home shaking. Someone from the bank called, he said. They're asking questions. Moenike nodded sympathetically. That's bad. He looked at her suddenly. You're not scared? She met his eyes. I've been scared for years, she said calmly. I'm tired now. Something in her voice unsettled him. For the first time, Kunle felt it, the ground moving. That night, the unknown number rang again. This time, Morenike answered without shaking. You're clever, the voice said, but clever people still bleed. Morenike replied softly. So do cowards hiding behind phones. A pause, then laughter. We'll meet soon. The line went dead. If a stranger threatened you like this, would you run or prepare? Comment, run or prepare. Morenike finally understood something that shook her to the core. Money did not keep her in the marriage. Fear did. Money was just the story. Fear told her to stay. And once fear lost its voice, everything changed. Morning came. Kunle left early. The children went to school. Morenike stood alone in the flat. Same walls, same furniture, same silence that once felt like a prison. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Today, noon, come alone. Location attached. Ibadan, public place, crowded, dangerous. She picked up her bag, not to run, but to finish something she had started the day she chose money over peace. And as she stepped out, one thought echoed in her mind. If this ends today, it will not end quietly. Deep breath. This is where everything bends. Not breaks, bends, and when it snaps back, nothing survives the impact. The sun sat directly above Mokola roundabout, merciless and bright, the kind of heat that makes tempers short and secrets sweat out of people. Morenike arrived early, too early. Crowds were already moving, hawkers shouting, buses coughing smoke, horns arguing with each other. Perfect cover. She chose a bench under a struggling almond tree and sat, bag on her lap, spine straight, face calm. Inside her chest, a war drum. She checked her phone, 11:58 a.m. He did not approach dramatically. No swagger, no bodyguards. He simply sat beside her like a tired man waiting for a bus. Mid-40s, clean shirt, a thin scar cutting across his eyebrow, not buckle, Worse. You came, he said without looking at her. Mornike didn't respond. You know why I called you, he continued. Your husband borrowed from the wrong circle. She finally turned. I'm not my husband. The man smiled faintly. No, you're his leverage. My name is Sule, he said. I don't shout, I don't threaten children, I just balance books. He pulled out his phone and showed her a screen. Transactions, names, some familiar, some shocking. One name made her breath hitch. Bimbo. Her stomach dropped. You used my sister-in-law, Moreniki whispered. Sule nodded. Everyone uses everyone. That's how money works. Sule leaned closer. You have something, he said. Information, evidence, leaks. Morenike remained silent. I want it, he continued. Give it to me, and your children will grow up without fear. And Kunle? She asked. Sule shrugged. Kunle is already finished. Mosheneke closed her eyes briefly. This was it, the moment where survival demanded a price. Suddenly, she remembered herself years ago, hungry, tired, desperate, choosing security over peace. This is the same choice, her mind screamed. Just bigger, just bloodier. She opened her eyes. I'll think about it, she said. Sul chuckled. You have 24 hours. He stood, then added softly, Oh, and Morenike? Money doesn't love loyalty, only silence. He walked away and vanished into the crowd. That evening, Morenike returned home to chaos. Kunle was pacing, shouting into his phone. They froze everything, he yelled. Everything. She stood quietly by the door. He turned on her. You, he accused. This is your fault. She looked at him, not with fear, but with something colder. Sit down, she said. He froze. She stepped closer. You lost control the day you used money to cage me. She continued calmly. Now money is eating you alive. Kunle's knees buckled. He sat. If roles reversed like this, would you show mercy? Type mercy or none. I met someone today, Morenike said. Kunle's head snapped up. Who? Someone you owe, she replied. Someone who doesn't shout. Kunle's face drained. Sul, you talked to him? Kunle whispered. Yes. Kunle laughed hysterically, then started crying. They'll kill me, he sobbed. Morshinike watched him. This was the man she stayed with for money. Now he had none. Only fear. That night, Morenike sat alone in the living room. Children asleep, Kunle broken. Her phone lay on the table. 2 unread messages. From Bimbo, we need to talk. From Sul, time is moving. She stared at the screen. 2 parts, 2 betrayals, 1 decision. And somewhere in Ibadan, another phone buzzed. With her name spoken by someone she had never met. Someone already planning for the outcome she hadn't chosen yet. Morẹ did not answer either message that night. She let the phone lie face down on the table like a sleeping snake. Outside, Ibadan breathed. Distant music, a generator coughing, a dog barking like it knew something bad was coming. Inside, the flat Kunle slept on the couch, exhausted from fear, not drunk, not angry, just empty. Morẹ watched him for a long time. So this is what money leaves behind, she thought. At exactly 6:30 a.m., there was a knock. Soft, controlled, not the kind that asked permission. Morẹ opened the door. Bimbo stepped in. No greeting, no smile. She looked thinner, sharper, like someone who had already chosen a side. You met Sule, Bimbo said. Morẹ nodded. Bimbo exhaled slowly. Then we're out of time. Right now, before this gets darker, tap subscribe if you're still with her, because after this scene, nothing goes back. They sat across from each other. No more half stories, Morẹ said. Talk. Bimbo laughed without humor. You think I wanted to help Kunle? She asked. He dragged my name into his mess. Then why did you help him? Morẹ demanded. Because, Bimbo replied, eyes burning. When men fall, they pull women with them. She leaned forward. Sul didn't appear because of the leak. He appeared because the leak embarrassed the wrong people. Moreniki's chest tightened. And now? Now, Bimbo said quietly, they want to sacrifice. Morenike felt cold. Who? Bimbo didn't answer immediately. She glanced toward the living room. At Kunle, sleeping, broken. Morenike understood. No, she said instantly. I won't give him. Bimbo met her gaze. Then they'll take your silence or your children. The room shrank. Be honest, no pretending. Would you sacrifice the man who destroyed you to save your children? Type yes or I can't. Kunle stirred, opened his eyes, saw both women staring at him. What's happening? He asked weakly. Moresnike stood. You sold our peace, she said calmly. You sold my fear. Now someone wants to collect. Kunle sat up, panic flooding his face. No, no, Morenike, please. She felt it then. Not love, not hate, closure. Sule's message buzzed again. Final call. Morenike picked up the phone. She walked to the window. Ibadan moved like nothing was wrong. She spoke into the phone. I'll give you what you want, she said. A pause. Then Sule replied calmly, Good. Tonight. She hung up. Kunle stared at her in terror. What did you do? He whispered. She turned to him. The same thing I did years ago, she said softly. I chose survival. Toby ran out of the room suddenly, holding a notebook. Mommy, he said brightly, teacher says we should write about our heroes. Morenike's throat closed. Kunle laughed weakly. Write about your daddy. Toby looked confused, then looked at Morenike. I'll write about Mommy, he said. She's brave. Morenike smiled and cried. Night was coming. Sule was waiting. Bimbo was silent. Kunle was praying. And Morenike stood in the middle of it all. The woman who stayed because of money. The woman who learned too late that money never stays loyal. As she picked up her bag, the same thought returned. The one that started everything. If I had left earlier, would this still be happening? Her phone buzzed one last time. A new message. Unknown number. Don't trust Sul. He's not the end. Morenike froze. Because the truth finally revealed itself. This story wasn't ending. It was looping back to fear, to money, to choice. Again, the location Sule sent was simple. Too simple. Agodi Gardens, rear car park. 9:30 p.m. Public enough to look safe. Private enough to disappear. Morenike left the flat without drama. No tears, no shouting. Kunle watched her go like a man watching his own burial. Please, he whispered, I'll change. She paused at the door. You already did, she replied. Just too late. If you're still watching at this point, you're strong. Tap subscribe. This is not a story you drop halfway. The garden was quieter than usual. Streetlights blinked like tired eyes. Crickets sang like they knew secrets. Morenike's heart thudded with every step. She spotted the car immediately. Black, windows tinted, engine running. Sul stepped out slowly, alone, or so it seemed. You came, he said, smiling slightly. I said I would, Morenike replied. He gestured to the passenger seat. Let's talk. She didn't move. You said tonight, she said. Say what you want. Sul studied her, then nodded. Fair. You have two options, Sul said calmly. Option one, you give me everything you have. Documents, recordings, contacts. We bury this mess. Your children are safe. You disappear. And Kunle? He goes to jail, Sul replied casually. Or worse. Depends how cooperative he is. Morenike's chest tightened. And option two? Sul smiled. You become useful. Silence. Useful how? She asked. You help us clean up, he said. We use your story, your voice. You stay visible. You control the narrative. Morenike's stomach churned. So I become a shield. Sul nodded. Exactly. Right now, what would you choose? Disappear, stay and fight. Comment 1. Don't explain. As Sul waited for her answer, her phone vibrated in her pocket. One message. From the unknown number again. He's lying. Check the car. Her breath caught. Sul noticed her pause. Is there a problem? he asked. Morenike forced a smile. Just nerves. She stepped closer to the car, casually, slowly, and then she saw it, a second silhouette, in the back seat, still waiting. Her pulse exploded. This was never a conversation, it was a collection. Morenike straightened. I choose neither, she said calmly. Sule's smile faded. That wasn't an option. It is now, she replied. She reached into her bag. Sule tensed, but instead of a document, she pulled out her phone and pressed play. Kunle's voice filled the night, clear, desperate, naming names, mentioning figures, mentioning Sule. Sule's face hardened. You recorded him, he said slowly. Yes, Morenike replied, and it's already sent. Where? He demanded. She met his eyes. Everywhere. The back door opened. The silhouette stepped out. A man, hand in jacket. Sule raised a hand. Enough, he said quietly. He looked at Morenike with something new, respect. You planned this, he said. No, she replied. I adapted. Sule sighed. You women always learn too late, he said. But when you learn, he stepped back. Go home, he said. Tonight. Morenique didn't argue. She turned and walked away. Not fast, not slow, strong. Kunle was still awake, waiting. She entered. Alive. He stared at her like she was a ghost. It's over, he whispered. She shook her head. No, she said. It's changed. She picked up her bag again. This time, she continued, I'm leaving because I can, not because I'm afraid. Ibadan woke up like nothing had happened. Buses screamed, hawkers laughed, life moved on. Morenike did not. She sat on the edge of a narrow bed in a small self-contained in Oka Ado, staring at the cracked wall like it might explain what came next. No Kunle shouting, no insults, no footsteps behind her, just silence. And silence can be cruel. She checked her phone, no threats, no warnings, no messages. That scared her more than violence ever did. By noon, reality knocked. School fees were due. Her account balance blinked back at her like a joke. N18450. That was it. No kunle, no allowance, no safety net. Money, the same thing that trapped her, was now the thing waiting to humble her. She laughed, a small laugh, the kind that comes when you realize freedom is expensive. She went to a roadside buka to eat, ordered rice and stew. When the woman served it, Morenike froze. No meat. She stared. Ahunti, she said politely. My meat? The woman looked confused. You didn't order meat? Morenike checked her money again. Silence. Then she laughed, hard. The woman stared. Morenike waved her off. Sorry, it's not you. She ate rice without meat and tasted freedom for the first time. That evening, her phone rang. Unknown. Number. She hesitated, then answered. Morenike, a woman's voice said calmly. You don't know me, but I know you. Her chest tightened. I represent people who were inconvenienced by your bravery. Morenike closed her eyes. So this is how it continues, she murmured. The woman chuckled softly. Living doesn't cancel debt, it transfers attention. You can help us, the voice continued. Speak publicly, tell your story, name names carefully. We protect you. And if I refuse? A pause. Then you live small, the woman replied. Very small, very careful. Morenike felt anger rise. Money again, different voice, same leash. I'll think about it, she said. You have 48 hours. If telling your story publicly could protect you but expose you, would you do it? Come and tell it or stay quiet? That night, Kunle called. She almost didn't answer. Almost. Morenike, he whispered. They took me in for questioning. She said nothing. I lost everything, he continued. Job, friends, respect. Silence stretched. Do you hate me? He asked. She finally spoke. No, she said calmly. I outgrew you. Kunle cried. She didn't. After the call, Morenike sat on the floor and finally understood the truth. She didn't stay in the marriage because she loved Kunle. She stayed because money promised safety, and now money was offering her safety again at a new price. Her voice, her peace, her anonymity. The next morning, Morẹ stood in front of a mirror. Same woman, different scars. She practiced saying her name out loud, practiced telling her story. Because somewhere in Ibadan, someone was already preparing a microphone, a headline, a narrative. And if she didn't speak first, someone else would speak for her. Her phone buzzed. A reminder, 48 hours remaining. Morẹ inhaled slowly. Freedom had opened another door. And behind it, the same question that started everything. How much is your peace worth when money is watching? Morẹ stood backstage in a small television studio in Jericho, Ibadan, hands clasped so tightly her fingers ached. Bright lights leaked through the curtain, voices murmured. A producer counted down. 30 seconds. She could still walk away. No one was holding her. That was the cruel part. She remembered eating rice without meat, remembered fear sleeping beside her in Kunle's body, remembered how money had spoken for her for years. She lifted her head. Not again. If you're still here, don't just watch, share this story, because silence is how this happens again. The red light came on. The host smiled. Tonight we have a woman whose story has shaken many homes. Morẹ swallowed. Then she spoke. She spoke about control dressed as provision. She spoke about insults paid for with rent. She spoke about fear that wore the face of security. I didn't stay because I was weak, she said calmly. I stayed because money convinced me that survival was love. The room went quiet. Across Ibadan, people leaned closer to their screens. By morning, her name was everywhere. Some called her brave, some called her foolish. Some asked why she didn't leave sooner. Sponsors called, activists called. Strangers sent messages that read, "This is my story too." But so did other messages, threats, warnings, silence with teeth. Kunle called once, just once. "They'll never leave you alone now," he said. She replied gently, "They never did." Then she hung up, and that was the last time she heard his voice. Months passed. Morẹ moved again. Smaller place, quieter street. She worked, she spoke, she survived. Money came, slowly, carefully, with conditions she read twice. Some nights she woke up sweating. Some mornings she smiled at nothing. Freedom, she learned, was not peace. It was responsibility. One evening at a roadside buka, she ordered rice. The woman asked, "Meat?" Morẹ paused, then smiled. "Yes," she said, "add meat." She paid, she laughed, she ate. One afternoon, as she walked through Bodija Market, her phone buzzed. Unknown number, one message. "My sister is in a marriage like yours. She's staying because of money. What should I tell her?" Morẹ stopped walking. The noise of the market faded. She stared at the message, thought of herself, thought of Kunle, thought of rice without meat, thought of microphones and threats and choices. She didn't reply immediately because the truth was heavy, because the answer was not simple, because somewhere, right now, another woman was standing at the same door Morẹ once stood in, counting money, measuring fear, calling it safety. Morẹ typed one word, then deleted it. She looked up at the Ibadan sky, and the story did what real stories do. It didn't end, it waited.